Okay, so way back to sophomore year in high school, I was involved in a hit and run accident, car crash. It was after a swim meet. The bus dropped us off at school, and we did really good. We won, and my friend's like, "Oh, well, let's go to my house. Let's watch movies. We can eat pizza or whatever." So I call my mom, and I'm like, "Can I go, Mom?" And she's like, "No, I don't want you to go. It's kind of late. I want you to come home." So I begged her to let me go. So she had her own car, so we felt cool and whatnot. So we're driving to her house. It was four of us and her in the car, and we were so close to her house, and then all of a sudden we get hit by a car. All I can remember is the car spinning around, and it stopped. We got out of the car, and we see the car that hit us just drive off. And I was so scared. We were waiting for the ambulance. We were just sitting on the curb, and as we're waiting for the ambulance and the police to arrive to the scene, the car comes back, and it turned out to be that he was texting when he hit us. So I called my mom, and my mom was so mad at me because she didn't want me to go in the first place. So she's like, "We could have prevented all this. You shouldn't have gone." So I got in huge trouble. So today I would like to discuss 6 different ways that we as drivers can be distracted by. So the first one is texting. According to DriveStudy.com, texting while driving caused almost 1,000 fatal accidents in 2009 alone. Ironically, making the act illegal was seemingly made matters worse. And then according to Distraction.gov, about 6 times more likely to cause an accident than driving intoxicated, the same as driving after 4 beers, and the #1 driving distraction reported by teen drivers. So what does this mean? It means that we're more focused on our laps, looking at our laps, than we are looking on the road. My next point is cell phone talking. Ironically, even with the invention of the Bluetooth headset, talking on a cell phone is still a dangerous activity for drivers. According to Distraction.gov again, driving while using a cell phone reduces the amount of brain activity associated by 37%. I know that a lot of people talk on the cell phone still while driving. My mom does it. I hate it when she does it. I'm like, you need to put the cell phone away, or give me the cell phone, I'll talk to them for you. When you're done driving, you can give them a call back. And she does it with texting too. I'm like, here, I take the phone away from her. And I'll send that text message for her. And then I have a couple friends also. One of my best friend, actually, she does this all the time. She will be talking on the phone to whomever, and she knows I don't like it. She knows I hate it. So she's been careful about it when she's driving with me in the car. But I've told her plenty of times. She's been close to being in a car accident herself because of using the cell phone. So she's tried to minimize the activity on her cell phone while she's driving. Next, talking to passengers. In 2009, there was roughly 31,000 fatal accidents, resulting in 34,000 deaths, meaning that at least some accidents claimed more than one life. And according to the University of Michigan, a new study by the University of Michigan Transportation Research Institution shows that drivers who have conversations with passengers exhibit similar levels of driving performance as drivers who use cell phones. For example, The study found no statistical difference in terms of keeping in the correct lane or using proper steering behavior between people talking on a cell phone or those conversing with the passenger. So this means that talking to your buddies in the back seat or like looking in the rearview mirror, talking to them is just as dangerous as if you were talking on the cell phone or texting. So passengers can be a huge distraction as well. Now, as it was mentioned earlier, we're always on the go. I know I am, like today after school, I have to run down to work. So I have to go grab something to eat. An astounding 25% of Americans eat fast food on a daily basis because of the purpose of fast food to be fast and because of the greatest invention of the 20th century, the drive-thru, allows people to jam meals on their way to work. So chances are somebody is eating while they're in the car. Like I mentioned before, I'll go just drive down to like Subway or something, and then I'll jump in my car, eat it while I'm driving to work down the 57 freeway, and I'm done. So, I mean, it's a really bad habit, and now that I did research on this past week or so, I didn't realize how bad it really was. So, I mean, it definitely made me think and kind of process it, like, I should probably stop doing that. Like, it is really dangerous. So now for us ladies, getting pretty, doing our makeup while driving. I know pretty much a lot of you have probably done it. I know I've done it. So, and actually, a couple weeks ago, I was driving to work because I had work right after school. So in the morning, I just came like whatever to school. So I needed to get ready to, look decent to work. So I was driving down the 57 freeway and I was like putting my blush on, and then all of a sudden, on my left lane, I see a cop. I was like, oh, I put it down as fast as I could. And I don't know if he didn't see me or I don't know what happened, but he didn't pull me over. So I got so scared. I was like, okay, I need to stop doing this. So, unfortunately, grooming is one of the leading causes of distraction-related accidents on the road each year. About 3% of female drivers have had an auto accident while applying makeup, and 75% of those women are under 27 years of age, says Kevin Alsop, Vice President of Insurance Foundation Financial Group in Florida. So now, one of our favorite things to do is playing DJ while you're driving, right? I know a lot of my friends do this. Nowadays you have the smartphones that you can just like connect to your car or just sync it through, so you're like just changing playlist after playlist. And thanks to the smartphones, most people carry their MP3s, emails, and phones all in the same device. The problem with this is that while it isn't illegal to change playlists, it is just as distracting as texting though. So in conclusion, it doesn't matter whether or not a person is texting, Googling, Angry Birding, or changing the next song on their phones. Distraction is indiscriminate, and taking your eyes off the road for even a minute can be the difference between life and death. Thank you.
All right, Alex, you're on.
Okay. So as for the pros, you had a good attention grabber. You caught me, and You had good material. It was a great citing your sources before you actually said the statistic or the fact. Good eye contact and vocal projection. You had a variety of it. You had good hand motions. I noticed you using those. As for the cons, you look up when you're thinking of what to say.
Oh, you're doing that. That's what I did it last time too.
Normal note cards would be a
Yeah.
little bit better. Cleaner transitional phrases. I mean, you did pretty good with most of them. There was just maybe one or two there that I caught. And maybe a little bit like nervous pivoting around the like just stepping, little tiny
Yeah.
steps. But
Okay.
but besides that, overall, I think you did well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's at the beginning especially, it's a little distracting because you're kind of looking up and you're thinking of the story and you're telling us the story, but you're not really telling us the story because you're thinking of the story as you're looking up in the sky while you're telling us the story. Yeah.
I don't catch myself doing it while I'm
Well,
up
when you
there,
watch the
but-
video, you'll see that
Okay.
you're doing it. Yeah, and you got to talk to people. If it happens occasionally, it's not that big a deal. Everybody
Yeah.
does that. Everybody kind of looks up or off to the side to think of the next thing that they're talking about. I didn't think it was as problematic in most of the speech, but I did think it was problematic right at the beginning of the speech when you're telling us this personal story and it's what happened to you and you keep kind of looking away from us, and here's your chance to connect with us at the beginning. I like the subject that you're talking about, distracted driving. I think that's pretty good. The question, I think you do a good job outlining what the problem is. You need to do a little bit stronger job telling us what we ought to be doing about it. Taking personal responsibility, breaking ourselves of the habit, telling our friends or our family members when they're in the car not to do those kinds of things. I don't know if you think there should be some law. You lucked out that the cop didn't pull you over when you were doing the grooming kind of thing. Maybe there ought to be mandatory penalties for that. I don't know that it should be death penalty, but something along those lines. Some kind of enforcement. I don't know exactly what you want us to do about this, except other than be aware. So you don't want to just be an informative speech. You got to make the argument here that and it seems that like there's that next step that's coming up. Because I don't think anybody disputes that these things are likely to be problems. What they probably dispute is it's not a problem for me. Everybody is that way. Well, yeah, everybody else using the phones, they're a problem on the road. But it's okay when I do it because I'm careful about it, that kind of thing. And I think that's one of the problems that people run into when they deal with the kinds of issues. They recognize it's a problem, but they don't always act on it appropriately. The vast majority of people who get arrested for drunk driving, for instance, would never think, oh yeah, I'm going to go out and I don't care if I'm drunk or not when I'm driving. Most of them just don't think that they're drunk when they're driving. I'm not over the limit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay to drive, that sort of thing. And you go, no. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. It's okay for me to be talking to people in the back seat because I'm a good driver. Being a little bit more active or proactive is probably a good thing. I thought you did a good job providing a lot of information on most of the points. There were a couple of points where there wasn't information and you kind of assumed that it's true, but I thought that for the most part you did a good job citing sources on all of those points. It did pop in my head when you were talking about your mother doing this when you were in the car. I'm thinking to myself, why are you not screaming at her the way she was screaming at you earlier and say, do you remember that I was in that car accident because that idiot was texting while he was driving? And what are you doing right now? I know it's your mother and you really can't always talk that way, but sometimes you need to draw a line here someplace. And that was the thing that was occurring to me. And I know, I understand. I understand that. I thought that you generally did a good job with the presentations. The eye contact thing, I just mentioned it. It wasn't bad. It's just something that's noticeable.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.